Assalamu alaikum.
And I just wanted to know what came after knowledge, sincerity, acknowledgement, and love. You said there were 6.
I forgot one. العلم اليقين العلم الإخلاص اليقين الصدق truthfulness came to my mind. Truthfulness.
That would be after acknowledgement?
Yeah. And then yaqeen. And then al-mahabba.
In English, that is?
Love. Yaqeen, surety.
So I have knowledge, sincerity.
I'll give them to you. Don't worry about it. It's not waste time. I'll give them to you.
Thank you.
I'll give them to you. Just go to Google, type in the conditions of La ilaha illallah, they'll pop right there. And they'll pop correctly. You're welcome.
Is that the regular Google or Sheikh Google?
No, the regular Google. There's no Sheikh Google. Alhamdulillah. There's no Sheikh Google. But they are very, very simple. Understand them like this. Understand, the top 3 are the most important ones, right? Because the other ones are derivation from the top 3. Knowledge and ilm, knowledge. Al-ikhlas, sincerity. Al-yaqeen, surety. Okay? That's the top 3. From them, everything else is derived. As-sidq. So if you have surety, you must be what? Truthful about it. Okay? And if you are sincere about something, what? You love it. Al-mahabba is extracted from it. Okay? Does that make sense? Everything else is derived from those top 3. Okay? But there are 6 conditions to La ilaha illallah. There are 6 conditions and the ulama spoke about it. And inshallah ta'ala, that's what I inject commercial for my class. Okay? On Sunday we have a class between 2:30 to almost Asr Maghrib prayer. We're going through the book of Tawheed. Once we finish the book of Tawheed, we're going to go through a book called the Sharh La ilaha illallah and its conditions. The explanation of the word La ilaha illallah and its conditions. We're going to go through each condition independently, and we're going to show you where it exists in the Quran. All of those 6 conditions exist in the Quran. They are right there articulated by ayats of the Quran. Okay? So, inshallah ta'ala, when we finish the book of Tawheed, we will dive into that book. And it's a very concise, good book, excellent book to read. Okay? I would recommend it for our da'is to read. The ones that want to indulge in the da'wah. Any other questions? Okay. Yes.
What is the second book?
Sharh La ilaha illallah, the explanation of La ilaha illallah. It's available online, and you can download it as a PDF file. If you can't, let me know. And you can buy it actually. It's a very small, concise book. Okay. So, this is why we're here today, right? Da'wah. The word da'wah. How many of you know what the root word of da'wah is? Da'ah, right? Da'ah, right? That's the root word of it. Da'a yad'u, da'a, da'wah, right? So, linguistically, the word da'wah means all of these things, to call. Al-nida, al-talab, al-amana, al-haf, right? To call people, to request, to lean toward, to encourage. And look at the verb of it. Right? The verb of it is dal, ain, waw, with fatha, fatha, fatha. How would you read that word? Da'awa. Da'awa. That's the verb of it. Okay? Some of the other linguistics meaning, أن تميل الشيء أن يميل أن تميل الشيء إليك بصوت وكلام يكون منك. For something to lean towards you because of what? Because of your voice and your speech. Because of what you are articulating to them, you'll find that something leaning towards you. So, when you see somebody walking their dog in the street, right? And the dog strays, what happens? What does the owner of the dog say? Hey. Hey, come back, come back. And what happens because of that speech? What happens to that dog? Comes back. That's the root word of da'wah. Does that make sense? That's where it originated from. Okay? Another meaning, al-imala wa-targhib, to lean toward or to favor. Okay? That's what da'wah. So, with this linguistic meaning of the word da'wah, okay, what do you think our objective in the da'wah should be? based just on this linguistic meaning. Is to articulate words, right? To be able to articulate words using your sound, right? And to what? Have people favor and lean toward what? The worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does that make sense? So to use word and articulate, use word, sound, and voice to articulate and have people lean toward what? The worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And singling out Allah alone in the acts of obedience and worship. Make sense? That's the linguistic meaning. Any question on the linguistic meaning? Any other elaboration? Wissam, any other points? MashaAllah, you're very articulate in the Arabic language, much better than I am.
ممتاز بارك الله فيك.
وفيكم بارك الله. Because Abu Osama, by the way, MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, he's expert in the Arabic language, much better than I am in the Arabic language. Yes. And he's been a teacher of the Arabic language longer than I have. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so what does it mean in Islam? What does the word da'wah in Islam mean? And how did the scholars of Islam understood this concept? And how they understood? إن الدعوة الإسلامية هي عملية تعليم ونشر وتبليغ الناس بما حوى من عقيدة وشريعة وأخلاق ومن ثم حثهم على تطبيقه في واقع الحياة. An all-encompassing statement. So if you know Arabic, you know this is an all-encompassing statement, right? It says in here, who wants to read this? This funny statement of the, who wants to read this part? Okay, Zahra, here's the microphone.
I can't see it.
You want my glasses? I have. Okay, I'll give it to you. Yeah, I actually have to use the same glasses as I do. Go ahead.
It is the action of educating, publishing, and telling people as to what Islam contains in terms of belief, legislation, and moral character, and then encourage them to implement it in their lives.
Very good. So really what we're saying in here, if you were to break it down word by word, what is it? It is actually, it is the action. So the da'wah, according to the scholars of Islam, it is an action, something actionable you do. To educate, publish, and tell. Okay? People. To ask what Islam contains, what Islam has in it. Now, I did not see in here, educate and publish to people that their book is false. I did not see that in there, did I? I did not see in that definition tell people what they're worshiping is false. It's all about Islam. Da'wah in Islam is all about Islam. It's not other than Islam. So to educate and publish and tell people about Islam, right? And what does Islam all about? It's terms of beliefs. It's terms of legislation. The moral character that it calls for. And encourage people to hold on to these things. Does that make sense? This is the essence of da'wah in Islam. It's all about Islam. The second definition. وقد تعرض ابن تيمية لتعريف الدعوة فقال الدعوة إلى الله هي الدعوة إلى الإيمان به وبما جاءت به رسله لتصديقهم فيما أخبروا به وطاعتهم فيما أمروا. Who wants to read that one? This is Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam, one of the major scholars. You don't mind when you have to read the last one. Kushida wa yes. I'll have you read the last one. So get prepared for the last one. Go ahead, Nanda.
It says, Ibn Taymiyyah said to call people to believe in Allah, but his messengers from, by believing in what they communicate and obeying their commandments.
Ah, the word obey shows up. Obey, obey, okay. Some of you might have wondered, where does Burhan tells us La ilaha illallah means to single out Allah alone in our actual what? Obedience and worship. But the scholars of Islam, alhamdulillah, they said what? And obey. So the acts of worship should be also taken as what? Acts of obedience. Now, if La ilaha illallah is explained in terms of obedience to Allah, do you think you can answer any question that anybody may pose to you?
Yes.
Yes. What is the simple answer? I'm obeying Allah. Allah commanded me, therefore I obey. Intellectually, that's not acceptable, right? We find out ourselves listening. But brother, you gotta challenge people intellectually. What could it be a simple answer? So da'wah, in the opinion of Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, one of the major scholars of the past, He said it's to call people to what? To believe in Allah. To call people to single out Allah alone in their acts of worship and obedience, to believe in Him. Once you believe in Allah, you must believe in what His messengers have brought down to us. Isn't that the Shahada?
Yes.
Great. Alhamdulillah. And then he continued and said, by believing in what they communicated. So how do we actualize the Shahada? First of all, by believing in it, and then by what? Obeying the commandment. So today, we Muslims, when we communicate the La ilaha illallah to people, Muhammad Rasulullah, we must demonstrate to them how do you actualize something like this, and how you as a da'iyah must live it, must demonstrate it to people. How can I come and tell you pray 5 times a day and I don't pray 5 times a day? Yes? Time. Okay, let's take a break. We'll get to the last one. It's been 30 minutes. Do you want to continue or do you want to take a break?
Continue.
What's the popular? Continue.
Continue this part and then break.
Okay, after this part we'll go to a break. Alright. Make sense? So that is the last statement, and we're going to have this young lady read it for us. It's the last one.
He also said, it is everything that Allah and His messengers love from what is must and preferred.
Okay? Now, Abdullah, you asked me what is ibadah, right? Here it is. Does that make sense? Da'wah is ibadah, right? It's another form of ibadah. So Ibn Taymiyyah said, وَكُلُّ مَا أَحَبَّهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ مِنْ وَاجِبٍ وَمُسْتَحَبٍ وَمِنْ بَاطِلٍ وَظَاهِرٍ فمن الدعوة إلى الله الأمر به وكل ما أبغضه الله ورسوله من باطل وظاهر فمن الدعوة إلى الله النهي عنه ولا تتم الدعوة إلى الله إلا بالدعوة إلى أن يفعل ما أحبه الله وترك ما أبغضه الله سواء كان من الأقوال أو الأعمال الباطنة والظاهرة. Meaning that Ibn Taymiyyah went in an even more in-depth analysis of what all this means. Not only that we must believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His messengers and obey that command and demonstrate it physically. He also went, it is everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His messenger love. What they told us to do. What they love, what the Prophet ﷺ loved to do. Okay, in terms of what? In terms of actions. Inner actions or outer actions. Make sense? This is what da'wah based upon the scholars of Islam means. So when you call people, you must call them to what? To what Allah loves and His Messenger loves. And you must encourage them to follow it with actions, demonstrated by you as a da'i. Okay? Inwardly or outwardly. Make sense? Okay, let's take a break. It's okay, it's a good idea after